Gibraltar, Gibraltar, is a British overseas territory located on the southern end of the Iberian Peninsula at the entrance of the Mediterranean. It has an area of 6.7 square kilometers and shares its northern border with the province of Cadiz in Andalusia, Spain. The Rock of Gibraltar is the major landmark of the region. At its foot is a densely populated city area, home to over 30,000 Gibraltarians and other nationalities. An Anglo-Dutch force captured Gibraltar from Spain in 1704 during the War of the Spanish Succession on behalf of the Habsburg pretender to the Spanish throne. The territory was subsequently ceded to Britain, in perpetuity, under the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713. During World War II it was an enormously important base for the Royal Navy as it controlled the entrance and exit to the Mediterranean Sea, which is only 8 miles wide at this point. Today Gibraltar's economy is based largely on tourism, online gambling, financial services, and shipping. The sovereignty of Gibraltar is a major point of contention in Anglo-Spanish relations as Spain asserts a claim to the territory. Gibraltarians overwhelmingly rejected proposals for Spanish sovereignty in a 1967 referendum and again in 2002. Under the Gibraltar Constitution of 2006, Gibraltar governs its own affairs, though some powers, such as defense and foreign relations, remain the responsibility of government of the United Kingdom. Etymology: the name Gibraltar is the Spanish derivation of the Arabic name Jabal Arik, meaning Mountain of Tariq. It refers to the Rock of Gibraltar, which was named after the Umayyad general Tariq ibn Ziyad who led the initial incursion into Iberia in advance of the main Umayyad force in 711 under the command of Umayyad Caliph al-Walid I. Earlier, it was known as Mons Calpe, one of the Pillars of Hercules. History: early history evidence of Neanderthal habitation in Gibraltar between 28,000 and 24,000 BC has been discovered at Gorham's Cave, making Gibraltar the last known holdout of the Neanderthals. Within recorded history, the first inhabitants were the Phoenicians, around 950 BC. Subsequently, Gibraltar became known as one of the Pillars of Hercules, after the Greek legend of the creation of the Strait of Gibraltar by Heracles. The Carthaginians and Romans also established semi-permanent settlements. After the collapse of the Roman Empire, Gibraltar came briefly under the control of the Vandals. The area later formed part of the Visigothic Kingdom of Hispania from 414 AD until the Islamic conquest of Iberia in 711 AD. Settlement in 1160, the Almohad Sultan Abd al-Mumin ordered that a permanent settlement, including a castle, be built. It received the name of Medinat al-Fath. On completion of the works in the town, the Sultan crossed the strait to look at the works and stayed in Gibraltar for 2 months. The Tower of Homage of the Moorish castle remains standing today. From 1274 onwards, the town was fought over and captured by the Nasrids of Granada, the Marinids of Morocco and the Kings of Castile. In 1462, Gibraltar was finally captured by Juan Alonso de Guzman, 1st Duke of Medina Sidonia. After the conquest, King Henry IV of Castile assumed the additional title of King of Gibraltar, establishing it as part of the comarca of the Campo Llano de Gibraltar. 6 years later Gibraltar was restored to the Duke of Medina Sidonia, who sold it in 1474 to a group of conversos from Cordova in exchange for maintaining the garrison of the town for 2 years, after which time they were expelled. In 1501 Gibraltar passed back to the Spanish crown, and Isabella I of Castile issued a royal warrant granting Gibraltar the coat of arms that it still uses today. In 1704, during the War of the Spanish Succession, a combined Anglo-Dutch fleet, representing the Grand Alliance, captured the town of Gibraltar on behalf of the Archduke Charles of Austria in his campaign to become King of Spain. The occupation of the town by Alliance forces caused the exodus of the population to the surrounding area of the Campo de Gibraltar. As the Alliance's campaign faltered, The 1713 Treaty of Utrecht was negotiated and ceded control of Gibraltar to Britain to secure Britain's withdrawal from the war. Unsuccessful attempts by Spanish monarchs to regain Gibraltar were made with the Siege of 1727 and again with the Great Siege of Gibraltar. During the American War of Independence, Gibraltar became a key base for the British Royal Navy and played an important role prior to the Battle of Trafalgar and during the Crimean War of 1854–56. Due to its strategic location, its strategic value increased with the opening of the Suez Canal, as it lay on the sea route between the UK and the British Empire east of Suez. In the later 19th century there were major investments in improving the fortifications and the port. During World War II, Gibraltar's civilian population was evacuated and the Rock was strengthened as a fortress. Spanish dictator Francisco Franco's reluctance to allow the German army onto Spanish soil frustrated a German plan to capture the Rock, codenamed Operation Felix. In the 1950s, Franco renewed Spain's claim to sovereignty over Gibraltar and restricted movement between Gibraltar and Spain. Gibraltarians voted overwhelmingly to remain under British sovereignty in the Gibraltar Sovereignty Referendum, 1967, which led to the passing of the Gibraltar Constitution Order in 1969. In response, Spain completely closed the border with Gibraltar and severed all communication links. The border with Spain was partially reopened in 1982 and fully reopened in 1985 prior to Spain's accession to the European Community. In a referendum held in 2002, Gibraltarians rejected by an overwhelming majority a proposal of shared sovereignty on which Spain and Britain were said to have reached broad agreement. The British government has committed itself to respecting the Gibraltarians' wishes. A new constitution order was approved in referendum in 2006. A process of tripartite negotiations started in 2006 between Spain, Gibraltar and the UK, ending some restrictions and dealing with disputes in some specific areas such as air movements, customs procedures, telecommunications, pensions and cultural exchange. Governance. Gibraltar is a British overseas territory. The British Nationality Act 1981 granted Gibraltarians full British citizenship. Under its current constitution, Gibraltar has almost complete internal democratic self-government through an elected parliament, elected for a term of up to 4 years. The unicameral parliament presently consists of 17 elected members, and the Speaker who is not elected, but appointed by a resolution of the Parliament. The government consists of 10 elected members. The head of state is Queen Elizabeth II, who is represented by the Governor of Gibraltar. The Governor enacts day-to-day matters on the advice of the Gibraltar Parliament, but is responsible to the British government in respect of defence, foreign policy, internal security and general good governance. Judicial and other appointments are made on behalf of the Queen in consultation with the head of the elected government. The 2011 election was contested by the Gibraltar Social Democrats, Gibraltar Socialist Labour Party, Gibraltar Liberal Party Alliance and the Progressive Democratic Party. The PDP is a new party, formed in 2006 and fielded candidates in the 2007 election, but none was elected. The head of government is the chief minister. All local political parties oppose any transfer of sovereignty to Spain, instead supporting self-determination. The main UK opposition parties also support this policy, and it is UK government policy not to engage in talks about the sovereignty of Gibraltar without the consent of the people of Gibraltar. Gibraltar is part of the European Union, having joined through the European Communities Act 1972, which gave effect to the Treaty of Accession 1972. As a dependent territory of the United Kingdom under what was then Article 227 of the treaty establishing the European Community covering special member state territories. with exemption from some areas such as the customs union and common agricultural policy. After a 10-year campaign for the right to vote in European elections, since 2004, the people of Gibraltar have participated in elections for the European Parliament as part of the South West England constituency. The United Nations Committee on Decolonization includes Gibraltar on the United Nations list of non-self-governing territories. Gibraltar has been on the list since December 1946. Geography. Gibraltar's territory covers 6.8 square kilometers and shares a 1.2-kilometre land border with Spain. The town of La Línea de la Concepción, a municipality of the province of Cádiz, lies on the Spanish side of the border. The Spanish hinterland forms the comarca of Campo de Gibraltar. The shoreline measures 12 kilometers in length. There are two coasts to Gibraltar. The east side, which contains the settlements of Sandy Bay and Catalan Bay, and the west side, where the vast majority of the population lives. Gibraltar has no administrative divisions but is divided into 7 major residential areas, having negligible natural resources and few natural freshwater resources, limited to natural wells in the north. Until recently, Gibraltar used large concrete or natural rock water catchments to collect rainwater. Fresh water from the boreholes is supplemented by 2 desalination plants, a reverse osmosis plant, constructed in a tunnel within the rock, and a multi-stage flash distillation plant at North Mole. Gibraltar's terrain consists of the 426-metre-high Rock of Gibraltar made of Jurassic limestone, and the narrow coastal lowland surrounding it. It contains many tunneled roads, most of which are still operated by the military and closed to the general public. Climate. Gibraltar has a subtropical Mediterranean climate, with mild winters and warm summers. Rain occurs mainly in winter, with summer being generally dry. Its average annual temperature is about 21 degrees Celsius during the day and 15 degrees Celsius at night. In the coldest month, January, the temperature ranges from 11 to 18 degrees Celsius during the day and 9 to 14 degrees Celsius at night. The average sea temperature is 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. In the warmest month, August, the typical temperature ranges from 25 to 31 degrees Celsius during the day, above 20 degrees Celsius at night. The average sea temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. Flora and fauna. Over 500 different species of flowering plants grow on the rock. Gibraltar is the only place in Europe where the Gibraltar candytuft is found growing in the wild. The plant is otherwise native to North Africa. It is the symbol of the Upper Rock Nature Reserve. Olive and pine trees are among the most common of those growing around the rock. Most of the rock's upper area is covered by a nature reserve which is home to around 230 Barbary macaques, the famous apes of Gibraltar, albeit that biologists insist that technically the apes are wild monkeys. These are the only wild apes or monkeys found in Europe. This species, known scientifically as Macaca sylvanus, is listed as endangered by the IUCN Red List and is declining. 3/4 of the world population live in the Middle Atlas Mountains of Morocco. Recent genetic studies and historical documents point to their presence on the rock before its capture by the British. A superstition analogous to that of the ravens at the Tower of London states that if the apes ever leave, so will the British. In 1944, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was so concerned about the dwindling population of apes that he sent a message to the Colonial Secretary requesting that something be done about the situation. Other mammals found in Gibraltar include rabbits, foxes and bats. Dolphins and whales are frequently seen in the Bay of Gibraltar. Migrating birds are very common, and Gibraltar is home to the only Barbary partridges found on the European continent. In 1991, Graham Watson, Gibraltar's MEP, highlighted conservationists' fears that urban development, tourism and invasive plant species were threatening Gibraltar's own plants as well as birds and bat species. Economy. The British military traditionally dominated Gibraltar's economy, with the naval dockyard providing the bulk of economic activity. This, however, has diminished over the last 20 years, and is estimated to account for only 7% of the local economy, compared to over 60% in 1984. Today, Gibraltar's economy is dominated by four main sectors: financial services, online gambling, shipping and tourism. In the early 2000s, many bookmakers and online gaming operators moved to Gibraltar to benefit from operating in a regulated jurisdiction with a favorable corporate tax regime. However, this corporate tax regime for non-resident controlled companies was phased out by January 2011 and replaced by a fixed corporate tax rate of 10%. Tourism is also a significant industry. Gibraltar is a popular port for cruise ships and attracts day visitors from resorts in Spain. The Rock is a popular tourist attraction, particularly among British tourists and residents in the southern coast of Spain. It is also a popular shopping destination, and all goods and services are VAT-free, but may be subject to Gibraltar taxes. Many of the large British high street chains have branches or franchises in Gibraltar, including Morrisons, Marks & Spencer and Mothercare. Branches and franchises of international retailers such as Tommy Hilfiger and Sunglass Hut are also present in Gibraltar, as is the Spanish clothing company Mango. A number of British and international banks have operations based in Gibraltar. Jisc Bank claims to be the oldest bank in the country, based on Jisc's acquisition in 1987 of Banco Galliano, which began operations in Gibraltar in 1855. An ancestor of Barclays, the Anglo-Egyptian Bank, entered in 1888, and Credit Foncia entered in 1920. In 1967, Gibraltar enacted the Companies Ordinance, which provided for special tax treatment for international business. This was one of the factors leading to the growth of professional services such as private banking and captive insurance management. Gibraltar has several positive attributes as a financial centre, including a common law legal system and access to the EU single market in financial services. The Financial Services Commission, which was established by an ordinance in 1989 that took effect in 1991, regulates the finance sector. In 1997, the Department of Trade and Industry established its Gibraltar Finance Centre division to facilitate the development of the financial sector. Development. As of 2012, Gibraltar has 0.103 Big Four accounting firm officers per 1,000 population, the second highest in the world after the British Virgin Islands, and 0.6 banks per 1,000 people, the fifth most banks per capita in the world. The currency of Gibraltar is the Gibraltar pound, issued by the Government of Gibraltar under the terms of the 1934 Currency Notes Act. These banknotes are legal tender in Gibraltar alongside Bank of England banknotes. In a currency board arrangement, these notes are issued against reserves of sterling. Clearing and settlement of funds is conducted in sterling. Coins in circulation follow British denominations but have separate designs. Unofficially, most retail outlets in Gibraltar accept the euro, though some payphones and the Royal Gibraltar Post Office, along with all other government offices, do not. Demography. Gibraltar is one of the most densely populated territories in the world, with a population estimated in 2011 of 29,752, equivalent to approximately 4,959 inhabitants per square kilometre. The growing demand for space is being increasingly met by land reclamation. Reclaimed land currently comprises approximately 1/10 of the territory's total area. Ethnic groups. The demographics of Gibraltar reflect the many European and other economic migrants who came to the Rock over 300 years. After almost all of the Spanish population left in 1704. Regarding the origin of names in the electoral roll, there are British, Spanish, Genoese and other Italians, Portuguese, Maltese, There are also small peoples of other groups such as Moroccans, French, Austrians, Chinese, Japanese, Polish and Danish. The 2001 Gibraltar census recorded the breakdown of nationalities in Gibraltar as being 83.22% Gibraltarian, 9.56% other British, 3.50% Moroccan, 1.19% Spanish and 1.00% other EU. Language: the official language of Gibraltar is English, and is used by the government and in schools. Most locals are bilingual, also speaking Spanish, due to Gibraltar's proximity to Spain. However, because of the varied mix of ethnic groups which reside there, other languages are also spoken on the Rock. Berber and Arabic are spoken by the Moroccan community, as are Hindi and Sindhi by the Indian and the Pakistani communities of Gibraltar respectively. Hebrew is also spoken by the Jewish community, and the Maltese language is spoken by some families of Maltese descent. Portuguese is also widely spoken. Gibraltarians often converse in Claneto, a vernacular unique to Gibraltar. It is based on Andalusian Spanish with a strong mixture of British English and elements from languages such as Maltese, Portuguese, Genoese, Italian and Haketia. Over 500 Claneto words, for example, are of Genoese and Hebrew origin. Claneto also often involves code switching to English, with technical terms and complex ideas mostly expressed in English. Gibraltarians often call themselves Clanetos. Religion: according to the 2012 census, approximately 72.1% of Gibraltarians are Roman Catholics. The 16th century St. Mary the Crowned is the cathedral church of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Gibraltar, and also the oldest Catholic church in the territory. Other Christian denominations include the Church of England, whose Cathedral of the Holy Trinity is the Cathedral of the Anglican Bishop of Gibraltar in Europe, the Gibraltar Methodist Church, Church of Scotland, various Pentecostal and independent churches mostly influenced by the house church and charismatic movements, as well as a Plymouth Brethren congregation. Several of these congregations are represented by the Gibraltar Evangelical Alliance. There is also a ward of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and 2 congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses. 7.1% advise that they have no religion. The Gibraltar Secular Humanist Society also holds regular meetings. The third religion in size is Islam. There is also an established Hindu population, members of the Baha'i faith and a long-established Jewish community, which, at 763 persons, accounts for 2.4% of the population. There are 4 functioning Orthodox synagogues in Gibraltar and several kosher establishments.